I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture, which is all about combining theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. After having spent several days exploring different parts of Italy and San Marino to enjoy incredible sights, fascinating cities, and many different coasters, the final part of this journey gives us a chance to explore a very historic city to see its treasured landmarks, ancient stadiums, grand plazas, as well as the opportunity to walk into the center of a major world religion. After our stop at Cinecittà World, we made our way into the heart of Rome by taking advantage of the subway to get into the city center. Kicking off our exploration of the Italian capital, we rode to the station that would bring us to one of the city's most recognizable landmarks, the Colosseum, an ancient Roman entertainment venue built in the 1st century AD that could hold an estimated 50 to 80,000 spectators for spectacles that took place inside, including mock battles, executions, and dramas based on Roman mythology. Some of the largest damage to the building came from a massive earthquake in 1349, and many of the fallen pieces were used for building churches, hospitals, and other buildings around Rome. Today, it is one of the most popular attractions of the city, and while you're able to explore the interior of this historic building, that can sometimes require obtaining tickets in advance of your arrival, and we only had so much time with many other sights to see, including the Arch of Constantine, located right next door, which was built in 315 as a tribute to Constantine's rule over the Roman Empire of the West. Right down the street from these historic landmarks is the massive set of ruins that is the Roman Forum, which served as the center of day-to-day Roman life. An ancient place of commercial trade, legal proceedings, and public speaking. What remains are part of ancient buildings and temples that previously stood tall over the streets people would traverse regularly. As we made our way up to Capitoline Hill, at the other end of the Forum, we found ourselves on Piazza del Campidoglio, a square that was designed by Michelangelo and is home to some of the oldest national museums in the world, and Rome City Hall called Palazzo Sanatorio. The opening into the square is a Cortinata, a wide-ramped stair that Michelangelo designed with the intent of allowing those who arrived on horseback to be able to ride up to the top of the plaza without having to dismount before getting there. The ramp was made far less steep than the neighboring stairs up to Basilica di Santa Maria in Ara Coeli, which a bride and her father happened to be challenging at that moment. Climbed up those steps, and that dress seems like a good indication that she was going to say I do no matter what. Have you or someone you know gone through such a challenge to make it to their wedding venue? It'd be interesting to see these experiences in the comment section below. Just around the corner was a monument that was far more modern than several of the previous sites we had seen, as there's a massive tribute to the first king of unified Italy, Victor Emmanuel II. Its location on the Capitoline Hill and alongside Piazza Venezia helps it to serve as a symbolic connection between ancient and modern Rome. Walking further into the city, it's incredible to see how intertwined these two ages of Rome are, especially when you find ancient buildings and monuments surrounded by more contemporary buildings, as was the case with the Pantheon, a 2nd century temple that has served as a Catholic church since 609 AD. It has become the final resting place of royalty, including Victor Emmanuel II and artists such as the great painter Raphael. The Pantheon fountain right outside can not only add to the options for more artsy photos of the ancient temple, but it has some real history as well because of the Egyptian obelisk that stands in the middle, which previously stood in ancient Heliopolis under the rule of Ramses II and later relocated to Rome. Another obelisk of Rome can be found in nearby Piazza Navona, although this one has no connection to Egypt, but like the prior one, has some incredible detailed sculptures. The piazza itself is laid out based on the 1st century stadium that previously stood here, and is now a place that highlights Baroque design. The piazza also features the Fountain of Neptune, a tribute to the Roman god of sea and water, and a counterpart of the Greek god Poseidon. As we walked over Neptune's jurisdiction by crossing over the river Tiber, we came across Corte Suprema di Cassazione, the highest court of appeal in Italy, which sits in a building nicknamed Il Palazzo, or the Awful Palace, as many suspected that its large and astonishing decorations might indicate potential corruption in its construction. It sits near a rather large 2nd century palace that was originally ordered by the Roman Emperor Hadrian to serve as a mausoleum for him and his family, and was later turned into a fort. Now it serves as a museum featuring furniture and paintings from the Renaissance period. Heading further down the street, there came an opportunity to do something I had never done before.
In a fun little twist, this will be the first time walking into a new country. I've flown, gone by boat, driven, but never, ever have walked into a new country.
That was because within the boundaries of Rome lies the small landlocked city-state that is the seat of the Catholic Church, the Vatican City. Coming into the Vatican is about as simple as any state crossing back home, as there's no passport check or anything like that, so you can literally walk into a new country. Admittedly, we barely scratched the surface of what all you can experience here in our brief visit, as we didn't go into the museums or the Sistine Chapel, but it was still neat to see the outside of St. Peter's Basilica and to find the approximate location of the Pope's residence. This officially became the country I've spent the least amount of time in just under 20 minutes, but I would gladly make a return visit to see more of what it has to offer when not on such a tight timeline. Even with that tight timeline though, we still had a pair of destinations left on our list to see, so we caught the subway to get a bit further back into the city center and over to the Spanish Steps, a monumental staircase that connects the Spanish Embassy to the Holy See, with Piazza di Spagna at the base. And in the plaza is an early Baroque fountain called Fontana di Barcaccia. This was built between 1627 and 1629 when Pope Urban VIII commissioned Pietro Bernini to build it as part of a project to add fountains to every major piazza in Rome. And its water comes from one of the aqueducts built in ancient times to bring drinking water to the city, which was really nice to have available on a hot Italian summer day.
Refreshing.
Having been several hours since lunch, we would have our final meal in Italy at Le Bistro Roma, which felt modern and simple, and while the Peroni wasn't what I'd call the best of the trip, the food certainly could have made a case, as their potatoes gâteau, made with ham and smoked provola cheese, were really tasty, and the lasagna was also quite good, although admittedly it wasn't quite at the same level as the lasagna from San Marino a few days earlier. Still, it was a nice last meal in what has been one of my favorite countries to visit for the food. To end our exploration of the Italian capital, we made our way to the Trevi Fountain, which is the city's largest Baroque fountain and one of the most famous fountains in the world, as could be seen from the sheer number of people who came to visit. Palazzo Pole serves as its backdrop, and the fountain itself has some incredibly detailed sculptures, including an emphasis on Triton, the son of Poseidon, in the middle. And a popular tradition is to throw a coin over your left shoulder with your right hand into the fountain behind you. This will favor a future return to the city, although I'm hopeful I didn't entirely butcher my chances to come back because I didn't throw it correctly. And Rome is a city I would absolutely come back to see, as I'd love to spend more time to experience some of the sights more closely, but I appreciate that we were able to bring our time in Italy to an end with exploring this incredible capital city. I've wanted to visit Italy for many years, and this trip offered some great experiences as the country is rich with remnants of ancient times, and I love how some of these historic buildings blend right in with the modern architecture in the cities they call home. I also enjoyed learning about some of the fun traditions and superstitions of the different cities, and most of all, I absolutely loved the food. This was by far one of the best trips I've gone on for meals. The theme parks were no slouches either, as several coasters including Katoon at Mirabilandia, Shock at Magicland, and Altair at Cinecittà World were all great surprises. I also really enjoyed seeing what a lovely park Gardaland was, and even though this trip was loaded with a lot of quick coaster stops, several of them proved to be quite enjoyable, whether it was from the absurdity of the broken connector cable on our first coaster in Italy, or getting to ride a historic coaster that laid the foundation for many future shameless credits. It was also neat getting to add 2 smaller nations within Italy to my countries visited list, especially for our afternoon in San Marino with its breathtaking views that I'll remember for the rest of my life. It's hard to say when I might make it back to Italy, but it's certainly a country I wouldn't hesitate to return to if the opportunity presents itself. especially to explore areas I haven't experienced yet, such as Naples, Sicily, or Venice, and the parts we didn't get to this time. For now though, our visit to Italy has come to an end, but this adventure isn't over yet because there's another country to explore on the other side of the Mediterranean, and we'll be checking that out next time here on Coasting with Culture. Thank you for watching this video from Coasting with Culture. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button to see future videos here on YouTube, like these ones which you may enjoy as well. Additional content can be found at coastingwithculture.com, and you can also follow Coasting with Culture on various social media channels at CoastWCulture for announcements, previews, and updates. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and safe travels.